Hey, I just wanted to jump on here and share a little bit about what's going on in my life since I did my first bipolar and grief video. I wanted to give you an update and kind of share where I'm at now. So, my struggle has shifted and changed as we know what happens with bipolar. Um, and I was doing pretty good. I took a week off from work, which was I have a great employer that was able to work with me, and I had some time that I could take off for bereavement after my grandmother passed. So I did that, which was awesome because I was not able to focus or be productive. And my partner has been fantastic. He's been so helpful with just being understanding and gracious and supportive. And so one thing that I really wanted to share today was I am doing better, and that is awesome. But the hard thing about this diagnosis is that sometimes when one thing feels better, the other things start to percolate and come back up. And so I am still in a depressive state. And specifically, I'm about to have another medication change. Probably, I have a meeting with my psychiatrist later this week. And that is almost a trigger for me because it usually induces a pretty heavy swing of some sort, because I usually have a medication change, and that's obviously a big change in my body. And so I really am trying to figure out how do I start to navigate that so that when I know something's coming up, can I start to prep myself for it? And so I was talking to Daniel, my partner, and he was talking about when I get in my lows. We talked about it, last night and this morning. I really fixate on things, and so fixating on things when you're depressive, for me, it tends to be the same couple of things, whether or not I deserve to be loved and cared for in a relationship with anyone that cares about me, because I feel like a burden, and I feel like I'm not worth being in their life, and the people that I love deserve the best. I want them to have people who love them and support them and can be there for them, and sometimes I just feel like I can't be that person, and it eats me alive. And so I was talking to him about that, and he was I like I mean, he doesn't have bipolar, but he's has been through a lot too, and has his own life experiences. And it's been really helpful because he can be so steady, but how do we find that? How do we find a way that he can still be a human and experience frustration, sadness, confusion, any kind of negative emotion when I'm so heavily entrenched in that world of sadness. And so this morning, and the part of the reason I wanted to talk about that is it was really helpful for me to journal. I woke up and he was like, you need to maybe get up and journal and think through some of the things that we talked about yesterday. I think it would be really helpful for you. And I did not want to do it. Again, motivation has been and so it was really hard for me to get up, but I made a cup of tea, and I pulled out my journal, and I wrote down how I was feeling. And it is becoming a journal of very scary thoughts, because I I enter my journaling time with utmost frustration and utmost like wildness, the wild west that is my mind in those moments when I grab my pen are insane, and just so overwhelming. And I think that I just want to normalize the fact that that happens for us when we have bipolar. um, and I want to normalize people who have really encouraging, supportive partners that encourage them to do things like journal, and then come and check in on them. I think that for me this morning was so helpful, because I was crying and I was upset and I was feeling all of these emotions. I felt my frustration about having bipolar, about having my diagnosis. Recently, I've been struggling with like gaining weight, and like that's really common with medication as well. And so my body is changing, and I've had like a history of really struggling with that in general. And so like feeling like I was taking steps backwards in a direction where I've had previously like worked really hard for positive progress, was really challenging, and it is really challenging. And I don't have answers for that right now, but I did reach out to, again, per prompting of my partner, like reaching out to professionals. And it turns out that there's actually resources out there that can be covered by insurance to have like a registered dietitian who works with people with eating disorders. I don't identify as somebody who has an eating disorder, but I do realize it's like pretty close to what is going on in my mind. And if I don't do something, that might be where it heads. I've been like dancing on the line for long enough that I'm like, I really do need some professional help. And then also like therapy for people with like difficult relationships with food also can be covered by insurance. So I'm really grateful for that, and I am exploring that. I have a phone call tonight with a one of those agencies that has like coverage by insurance to find out like if my insurance will cover it, what kind of help they can provide, and like if that's something I feel like I have the energy to pursue. But yeah, I would say like a couple of my takeaways from this morning again is just like when your partner encourages you to do something, I know personally that sometimes you don't feel like you have what it takes to say yes. You don't feel like, I know for myself, I didn't feel like I could take his advice on some of these things because I didn't have energy to. And it was such a simple thing that I felt like I must be crazy. I must be like an idiot to not say yes. Like, one of the things is like I went to see a medical massage therapist, and she was like, roll out your calves because I have plantar fasciitis, and I would love to like run again, but rolling out my calves feel like such a hard, heavy task that I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna let myself down if I don't do it, and like then I'm a failure, and then it snowballs from like roll out your calves to I didn't do it, I'm a failure, I don't deserve to like have people support me, I don't deserve people like Daniel in my life, I don't deserve this therapist, I don't deserve to run, I don't deserve to like be around, I don't want to be around, I don't need to exist. And then it just like you can tell what direction that's going. So I just want to encourage you, like, you're not alone in this. Like, I wish that 3 or 4 years ago when I was diagnosed, like, somebody on YouTube was honest enough to, like, and courageous enough to be vulnerable in sharing their story. I do not have it figured out. And I think that's something that I felt like prompted to share my story, but I was like, I've got to figure it out first. And I don't have it figured out, but I'm trying really hard, and I have really great support. I got off the phone with 2 of my really good friends. Lean into your community, lean into people who can listen, who can be encouragement, who can pray for you. It's like really hard to do this, and I know some days you don't feel like you have the courage, because that's how I feel a lot of days, especially when I'm in a depressive state. But talk through it, like invite people in. I know it feels easier for myself to just shut down and want to run away from everything because I don't want to have to deal with this problem. Like, why should anybody else? But if you find people in your life who are courageous to stick around and work through it with you, like, that is such a gift. And I think that's something that I had like an aha moment with Daniel this morning, was like, oh my gosh, like, of course he doesn't want to deal with this. Like, that's real. But he does. He wants to work through it because he loves me. And I love him. So, like, yes, I could run away. Yes, I could break up with him. Yes, I could say I don't want your help, but I deep down really would love it. And I would really love to work through it. And I don't see the hope right now. And I said that this morning too. I was like, Like, I hope we can work through it. And he's like, it's not a hope, like, we will work through it. And I was like, sounds good to me. Like, I am not there right now. I will try. But like, in my, like, I'm borrowing his hope right now. And like, I am, I don't feel strong enough to have hope that will like push us all the way to that finish line. But I have enough hope today. He brought confidence to the table for me, so that I know that like I had that realization that if he wants to work through it, like, we can do it. I'm down to try. I'm down to give it a go today, tomorrow, as many days as I can. And I know that on the days that I can't, he's still going to hang around. And he's like, background on him, I could talk about him in another video, but like, he is very much a problem solver. And so for him, I think one of his biggest challenges is like, he sees like solutions or has suggestions for how things can be better, and I don't always take them, and that can be so frustrating for him. And so, yeah, I mean, pray for him too, because this is definitely not just hard for me, it's hard for everyone that is close to me at times. But yeah, keep the lines of communication open with people. Go to your therapist. Have courage to change your medications. I'm talking to myself just as much as to all of you. And yeah, we've got this. Like, genuinely, like, we have got this, and it's gonna be okay.